So today we're going to talk about something really important: psychological manipulation. It's one of those things that's so subtle, so invisible, that you can be caught in it for years without even knowing. If you've ever had this weird feeling that your own reality was being, well, edited, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down the manipulator's playbook and give you the tools you need to see the pattern and get your footing back. Let's just start with that feeling, okay? That quiet, nagging voice in the back of your head that asks, "Am I going crazy?" It's that feeling when things just don't add up, but you can't for the life of you figure out why. It is a deeply unsettling feeling, and trust me, it is way more common than you think. I want you to picture this. Think about a specific conversation you've had, maybe recently, maybe a while ago. And by the end of it, you're the one saying sorry. You're the one trying to fix things, to make peace.
But here's the kicker. You're not actually sure what you did wrong. The conversation twisted and turned, and somehow the blame just landed on you. You play it back in your mind a dozen times, trying to find that one moment where you messed up, but it's like smoke. You just can't grab it.
And this is the most important thing I'm going to say right up front. That feeling, that confusion, it is not in your head. It's not a sign that you're weak or unstable. It is a signal. It's your brain's alarm system going off, telling you that you've detected a very specific and very real pattern.
All right, so let's get into our first section here and really unpack why this whole thing is so disorienting. It really all boils down to a fundamental conflict that's happening inside your own brain.
Look at this. This is the heart of the whole problem. On one side, you have their words, and they sound so reasonable, right? "I'm just trying to help." "Oh, you're just overreacting." But then on the other side, you have the feeling those words create inside of you. You feel smaller. You feel confused. You start to doubt your own memory. And that gap, that huge canyon between what they're saying and how you're feeling, that's where all the chaos lives.
And this isn't just you being emotional. This is a real biological event happening in your brain. Your prefrontal cortex, your logic center, is sending up a red flag saying, "Wait a minute, something isn't right here." But your amygdala, your emotional threat detector, it's getting totally scrambled because the threat is disguised as care. And to solve that internal conflict, your mind does the simplest thing it can. It blames you. It's just easier than holding those two contradictory ideas at once.
So please, let this sink in. I want you to burn this into your brain. The confusion you feel is not weakness, it is evidence. It is proof that your internal alarm system is online and working perfectly. It's picking up on the distortion. It's doing its job.
So how does this actually work? Now that we understand why it feels so incredibly confusing, let's break down the mechanics. Because there is a playbook, a predictable, three-stage process that's used to slowly, methodically adjust your sense of reality. The best way to think about it is with the thermostat analogy. If someone walks into a room and cranks the heat up by 30 degrees, you notice immediately. You'd say, "Whoa, it's boiling in here." But if they turn it up just 1 degree, and then an hour later, another degree, you adapt. Manipulation works exactly like that, gradually changing what feels normal until you're in an unbearable situation without ever noticing the temperature was changing. In this adjustment process, it almost always happens in 3 distinct stages. First, they hook you with idealization. Then they confuse you with devaluation. And finally, they make you doubt everything with gaslighting. So, stage 1, idealization. You might have heard of this as love bombing. It's an absolute flood of attention, affection, and praise. This isn't just nice, it's neurochemical. It triggers a huge dopamine surge in your brain, the same chemical involved in falling in love, and it creates a really powerful, really fast bond. And what's crucial is that it sets this incredibly high baseline for what affection from them is supposed to feel like. And then stage 2 hits, devaluation. All that warmth and attention, it suddenly becomes unpredictable, inconsistent. And this shift is pure psychological genius in a dark way. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the exact same principle that makes a slot machine so addictive. Your brain gets hooked on the chase, on the frantic hope that the next pull of the lever will give you that reward. You start working harder and harder just to get back to that baseline they set in stage 1. Which brings us to stage 3, gaslighting. This is the direct attack on your perception of reality. They will confidently tell you that never happened. They will insist you're remembering it wrong. As an expert in this, Dr. Robin Stern explains they create a counter-narrative with such conviction that you eventually start to distrust your own mind. You literally begin to edit your own memories to match their story because it feels less crazy than believing they could be lying so blatantly.
Okay, so that's the playbook. Understanding it is absolutely critical, but just knowing it isn't enough. So now, let's get really practical. Let's talk about the framework for how you can actually break this pattern and start to reclaim your own sense of clarity. Rebuilding your sense of reality isn't about winning an argument. It's about quiet observation, and we're going to do it with 5 principles. First, and this one is so important, you have to track the pattern, not the individual moment. Why? Because our brains are wired to focus on the most recent thing, and we forget the 10 other times this exact same thing happened. From there, you'll learn to name the tactic, re-anchor yourself in your own reality, set a boundary without explaining it, and finally, the most telling step of all, just watch what they do when you tell them no.
Let's just zoom in on principle 2 for a second. Naming the tactic. When you can put a label on something, it loses its power over you. When they accuse you of being angry while they're the one yelling, you can just quietly think to yourself, ah, that's projection. When they say you're too sensitive, you can recognize it as minimization. It moves the problem from being about you to being about their strategy. Now, principle 4 is an absolute game changer. Here it is. Your justification becomes their negotiation. Manipulators love it when you explain your reasoning for a boundary. Because for them, your reasons aren't information, they're ammunition. They're just points on a list that they can now argue against. The most powerful thing you can do is simply state your boundary, I'm not going to discuss this anymore, and then stop talking. Don't defend it.
And that leads us to this, which is really the ultimate litmus test. This is how you tell the difference. A healthy person, when you say no, might be disappointed, sure, but ultimately they'll accept it and adjust. A manipulator? They will escalate. They will punish you. They will try to guilt you. They will reframe your healthy boundary as some kind of horrible betrayal. Their reaction to the word no tells you absolutely everything you need to know. So, how do we tie all of this together? Let's end with a really powerful mental model you can carry with you. It's simple. You are not the map. You are the compass. See, a manipulator spends all of their energy trying to redraw your map of reality. They're telling you that what you thought was a dead end is actually a highway, or that north is now south. And the goal is not to get into a fight with them over the map. The goal is to stop looking at their map entirely. It's to get quiet, put your hand over your heart, and learn to trust your own internal compass again. Your gut feeling, your sense of what's true. It was never broken. It just got spun around for a while.
Waking up to a pattern like this, one that is literally designed to keep you asleep, takes an incredible amount of strength. The confusion will start to clear, and when it does, you're going to realize this fundamental truth. You weren't crazy. You weren't too sensitive. You were never, ever the problem. You were the solution all along, just trying to emerge.
Like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe my channel now. Thank you for watching.